Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Community Connections, community talk for community people. It is the fastest and most friendly weekly 1 hour talk show in the Great Lakes based Saginaw region. And I am so glad that you tuned in this afternoon for another sharing of community talk and information. I am Joyce Harvin. Today's Community Connection show is brought to you by the Saginaw branch of the NAACP and its Youth Council. We urge you to get connected, be informed, and stay involved. Now, I hope that everyone is doing well today. It's getting a little chilly outside, colder than it was this morning when I first stepped outside to go to church. And I'm not a Halloween person, but I love candy snacks. I hope that you will keep your little ones warm and safe as they go out. Make sure that they are wearing their masks. And I just want you to know, I'll just say this, I'm not begging, but if anyone would like to share some of their sweet treats with me, please bring them on. Now, after I leave here, leave the show, I am going over to the mission in the city to the Reverend Dr. Rufus Bradley's Park, Memorial Park, where they are having their harvest festival. And that is going on right now. I know it was raining in downtown Saginaw on my way here, but it's going on right now and ends at 6 o'clock. So if you have a bunch of kids and they haven't been out, or you want to take them to a safe place to receive treats, head on over to Mission in the City Memorial Park at 1401 James and bring me all your candy. I want all of the Milk Duds, Paydays, Butterfingers, malted balls, and almond joys. Okay, so I'll meet you over there because as soon as I get off the air, I'm going over there and take some pictures of all the ghosts and goblins that are dressed up. Okay, and make sure you wear your mask. Okay, the community is invited. This is a free event. All right. Next thing I want to tell you about is about the show. A few weeks ago, Reverend Erina McKissick, the founder of A Life for a Life Ministries, where she was on the show, and I asked her to give me a community report back about the event that she had, which was a summit, an Innocence Summit, complete with speakers and honorees. So I've asked her to call in and give us a community report on that event. And she'll join me at about 5:10. Now, my main guest, in studio guest, is Marcia Reeves. Hi, Marcia.
Hello, Joyce.
I am so glad to have you in here with me today. I want you to know that I thoroughly enjoyed the premiere.
Thank you.
The premiere of the Sunshine Circle. And we're going to talk about that after I talk with Reverend McKissick.
Sure.
And she's going to give that report at about 5:10. But there are a lot of things that we're going to talk about, that I'm going to talk about and give information to our listeners. There's a lot going on this week in the city of Saginaw, starting with today with the Harvest Festival. But there are a lot of things that I need to tell you about. And then as soon as I finish talking with Reverend McKissick, then I'll go into my interview with Marcia. Marcia is the writer and executive producer, director of Sunshine Circle.
Correct.
And that premiere of that movie was held last Saturday at the Temple Theater, and it was full. It was a wonderful play. I can't wait to talk to this young lady about this play. It's been some years in the making, but she finally did it. She persevered for what she wanted to do. Just fantastic. You must go and see it. We're going to give you the dates and times and locations of where you can see this film, but it was held last Saturday. It was wonderful. Here are those community announcements that I want to tell you about. Saginaw residents are invited to an upcoming ARPA open house to speak informally with members of the Saginaw City Council on the use of ARPA funds and to provide feedback on what they want to see prioritized with the $52 million in federal funds. $52 million. Man, we could do a lot with that. The events will take place in the City Council chambers at City Hall, 1315 South Washington on Tuesday, November 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. There will be city officials and city council people, elected officials there to talk with you, and you can pose your questions. I don't know if they're going to be using the 3-minute rule where only one could speak and talk to you for 3 minutes or not. But we want you to get out there. Please don't let any bad weather. I don't know what the weather is. The weatherman has predicted, but on Tuesday, go to City Hall. You have all day from 10 to 8 p.m. And then on the 5th, the 5th, they will also be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that's Tuesday, November 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And also on Friday, November 5th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All of the people who have been calling and emailing me and knocking on my door about this $52 million and what the city is going to do, this is your opportunity to go and speak. Even if they only give you 3 minutes, there will be a lot of people there to ask questions and answer questions and see what we're talking about. It's an invitation to the community. Again, various council members will be available throughout the event to discuss the ARPA funding with residents, and no appointment is necessary. So let's fill up City Hall. When one bunch leaves, another can come in. Mm-hmm. Also wear your mask, okay? Also on October the 15th, well, this is when I received this notice. This is something that I am going to dig into a little bit later, and I'm going to have someone on. But here's the notice I got. The city of Saginaw has been awarded $4 million plus in funding from the state of Michigan to aid in the removal and replacement of drinking water lead service lines throughout the city. All those orange cones and people working all over the city, digging up streets, and you got to go around. They are putting in new service lines, drinking water lead service lines throughout the city. And they received this funding from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. There's a lot of information here. There are a couple of questions that I have. So I am going to invite that the director of the Water and Waste Treatment, who is Paul Reinix. I hope I didn't slaughter his name, but I want to have him to come on the show to explain some of these things, or at least call in. So look for that. And there, because it says that they're going to charge less on your water bill. Okay, that's the part that I want to clarify. All right. So, and if you would like to receive additional information before we get him on the show, you can call 989-759-1640 and ask about this $4 million in funds that they received for that. Now, starting Sunday, today actually, Michigan residents in 4 area codes, which includes 989 and 616, close in this area, you have to dial 10 digits in order to make a telephone call. I've had to do some of those today. I don't like it, but anyway, so if you just dial the 7 digits, your phone call will not go through. Okay, so just please be aware that is what's happening. You now have to dial. You don't have to dial the 1, but you do have to dial the area code plus the numbers for the phone, the person that you're trying to reach. There's another event that's taking place downtown. It's called the Saginaw Soup Pitch Competition, and residents are reminded that they can help select this year's winner. It's an entrepreneurial pitch competition that will be held on Monday, tomorrow, at 6 p.m. at the SVRC Marketplace, 203 South Washington. The event will highlight local entrepreneurs as they pitch their small business idea to a panel of judges and audience members. Now, there's going to be free samples from the SBRC marketplace vendors, and these free samples will be available to guests. And there is a small cost to get in. It's a $5 entry at the door, and which gives you an opportunity to vote for your favorite entrepreneurial idea. Okay, this is a great event. Some of that money will go back to some of the money raised at the door will go to three winners. Okay, there's a $2,000 cash prize, a second place, a $1,000 cash prize, and the third place will receive a $1,000 prize of in-kind services from the 2020 winner, who was Latrice Goodwine of Girl, What's in Your Purse? Mm-hmm. The audience will vote for the person's choice winner, who will be given the total of entry fees collected at the door. I'm going to attend this event. I have a lot of things to do tomorrow, starting at 6 o'clock, but I want to go and check this out. Check it out for a minute. Also want to tell you and remind you that the Christmas parade is coming up. The Pride in downtown Saginaw, their 44th annual Christmas parade takes place November the 20th. That's on a Saturday. 2021 starts off at 11 o'clock. And we are inviting, and I say we because I'm on the parade committee. Okay. You are invited. If you are a community group or a church group, a social group, a civic group, they would like to see you in the parade. So far, I know they have 25 entries. Saginaw High's band is going to kick off the parade, lead off the parade. So if you would like to be in the parade this year, there is a modest fee of $30. You could get somebody to sponsor you in that parade and put their banner up. But we want you to come out to the parade and celebrate. Okay. And I have 12 students from the Saginaw schools who are going to be in the parade. It's going to be nice. Going to be nice. Okay. So I think there's just one more that I need to tell you about, and that is that the Honorable 95th District State Representative Amos O'Neill is hosting a listening tour dealing with the topic of mental health. This takes place tomorrow, November the 1st, from 5 to 6:30 at the Anderson Enrichment Center, 120 Ezra Rush Drive. This is a free event, so there are lots of things to do that are free here in the city of Saginaw. Take your choice. Choose the best ones. I do believe that we have Erna McKissick, Reverend McKissick, on the line.
Hello.
Hello. How are you this evening?
I am great. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much. The last couple of weeks, a couple of weeks ago, you were on the show to talk about the Innocence Project or Innocence Summit that you had.
Yes.
Would you please give us a community report on how that summit took place and the attendees and what the outcome was?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on today just to be able to share briefly. So yes, on Saturday, October 23rd from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m., a Life for Life Urban Initiative hosted its first annual Innocence Summit, and that was via Facebook Live. It was an outstanding day, well attended by people across the country and across the world, actually. So we had hundreds of people on with us live throughout the day, and then hundreds more that went back and watched the replay that evening and the next morning. And so we're really, really excited about the turnout and the thousands of people that we were able to share information with in regards to wrongful convictions, mass incarceration, reentry, just a host of issues that are plaguing our criminal justice system. So we were really, really pleased again with the turnout and the attendees, those that were tuning in live, that were sharing it, that were engaging online, and those people that were interested in finding out how they could answer the different calls to action that were going out throughout the day.
Reverend McKissick, uh, I'm sorry. Reverend McKissick, I'd like to know what is the end results of a Life for a Life ministries? What would you like to accomplish?
Absolutely. Well, our goal is to see the men and women that we are advocating for that have been wrongfully convicted, to see them exonerated. Just this past week, we had a hearing for the juvenile lifer that we mentioned, Robert Hines. That hearing took place this week, and unfortunately, instead of exoneration being recommended, additional time was asked to investigate his case, so they added another 6 months onto that investigation. So as long as we still have people who are wrongfully incarcerated, families that are being torn apart, we will continue the work that we're doing to advocate for them, to share their stories, to bring in community partners and politicians and churches and everyone we can get to really help get on board with this issue, because it is multifaceted. And so we want to do our part in making sure that the community is aware that wrongful convictions are a very real thing, that they're happening more often than people know, and that we need to get these people out of prison.
The last thing that I'd like to know is, will that summit be still up on your Facebook page for some time?
Yes, absolutely. You can go back and you can watch that video. It will still be up. People are still sharing it, still watching it. And so we encourage you, if you missed it, to definitely go back and get that information.
Okay, thank you for that report. Will you please come back and tell us about what's coming up for the next summit or the next workshop that you will have? Please let us know.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that community report.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Reverend McKissick, thank you very much. Again, you can go to their Facebook page and see that summit. It's called the Innocent Summit. And again, Reverend McKissick is the founder right here in Saginaw of Life for a Life Ministries, Urban Ministries. Okay, and you can reach out to her anytime. And she is part of the staff at Victoria's Believers Ministries. Okay, now I can get to my main guest here. I'm so excited about what you're doing, Garcia.
Thank you so much.
Your story is one that needs to be shared, should be shared, and movies should be seen over and over and over again, because it is really good. Please tell us about the Sunshine Circle and the next time it's going to be aired.
Sure.
Shown. I'm sorry. How about that? Shown.
First of all, thank you so much, Joyce, for having me. It's truly an honor and a joy to be here and to share about Sunshine Circle. It is what I call a passion project, and it's my story. It's based on my childhood experience and how I was able to overcome childhood trauma and what it took to get to that point. Yeah.
You started on this project how many years ago?
I started the project in 2000. There was a Scribe Award contest being put out, and they were looking for people to honor the life of Dr. King by telling stories that would address, the issue of race and positivity. And so that story had already been in my spirit, because at that time I was just starting to kind of come out of a lot of the dark places, and things were just starting to really look bright. And I was just reminiscing on the people who helped me get to where I was at. And so it was already there, but everything went back to childhood. And so when the contest came up, I thought, sure, let me do it. I didn't even own a computer. I went out and rented a computer at Rent-A-Center.
Okay.
And wrote the script and submitted it. It didn't win. A young lady out of Detroit won, but it received an honorable mention. And that kind of perked my interest, like, okay, maybe I can do, write a script,
That isn't what you wanted to do in life, though,
Oh,
was to
no.
be a writer,
No,
a
no.
producer, a director of a movie. That wasn't what you set out to do.
No, not at all. I've always had a passion for the arts. So since I was a young girl, and again, I still think it goes back to childhood. When I went to the ministry in the park, they always used the flannelgram, to tell the story. And so I've always been intrigued by storytelling and the power of storytelling. And then my favorite teacher, my seventh grade teacher, he took us to see the movie Sounder in seventh grade, and I was mesmerized by Cicely Tyson and the power of film. And then he was always bringing in movies for us, just our class alone. And I just loved what storytelling could do through film and television.
Now, are you from Saginaw?
I am not. I am from Patterson, New Jersey.
And you've been here in Saginaw?
Yes,
for how long?
I've been here since 1993. I think that's approximately 29 years, something like that. Yes.
And you work full time.
I do.
And you write
on the side.
On the side. Right on the side.
Yes.
Give us just a little bit about Sunshine Circle. I don't want you to tell the whole story or give them the whole movie as we talk here, but I want people to know about the overall theme. It has a faith theme.
Yes. Sunshine Circle is the story of a little girl who faces an awful tragedy, but in the process, she is surrounded by people who have encouraged her and loved her and supported her. And that gives her the tools she needs to be resilient. And, Sunshine Circle is the title, but it really is life going full circle, as well as in the movie, people will see it was a place for the children to come together.
Was that the title of the production that you
the original?
Yes. The original one.
Yes.
Okay, it was
yes.
Sunshine
Circle. And I only came up with the title as I was writing. I didn't really have a title. And as I was writing, and that there's a particular scene where the little girl realizes there's a lot of brightness in this moment for her. And that's kind of how I came up with the title.
Tell me about your number one actor who played you.
Yes, her name is Jaya Wynn, and she is from Detroit, and she is a phenomenal actor, and that's her desire too. Her father, Jermaine, he said to us when we auditioned her, we were blown away. And actually the director is Tanya Carrier Hicks. Well, when we auditioned little Jaya, her father said, this is what she wants to do. He said, and as long as she wants to do it, I'm going to support her. If she ever wants to stop, we're going to stop. So that's, and she loves it. And she was so good. She remembered everybody's lines. She's phenomenal.
She was really good. Really good. It's like the character was built for her. It was written for her.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, she reminded me a lot of myself. Oh my goodness, because whenever we were not filming, she was a little chatterbox. And if I wore anything fashionable, she would touch it. She would tell me how beautiful it was, how she liked my hair. She was my kind of girl. But yeah, she was a lot like me at that age.
The production part of it was that on location here in Saginaw?
It was. The entire film was filmed right here in Saginaw. We kind of got blessed with the location. One of the organizations who, actually it was Rescue Ministries. They got a building. I went over to look at it with my boss. And as I'm walking through, I'm trying not to get excited, but in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, this would be so great for the film. So I just kind of sat on it because I wasn't sure if we were going to get the building. And then when we did get the building and I knew, filming was going to start, I summed up enough courage to ask him if it would be possible for me to use the building. And he said, yeah, right now we're not doing anything with it right now.
Mhm.
We have future plans for it,
Mhm.
but you'd have to clean it. And the building had been sitting for a couple of years. And so we went in and cleaned it and prepped it, and quite a few scenes were filmed in that building.
Now, with all that you were doing and trying to put this together,
Mm-hmm.
did you have any problems really producing and directing it? Or did you have help, or do you have a film background?
Well, I do not have a film background, and I have written stage plays. I haven't gone to school for film or stage plays,
Mhm.
but I have such a passion for the arts. And our ministry, my church.
Tell us
As-
about your church.
Yes,
Tell us who your
yes.
pastor is.
Yes, I attend New Covenant Christian Center Church, where our pastor is Bishop Ron Frierson. And our first lady is Lady Georgia Frierson, who actually was the first person to assign me a role to choreograph a routine at church.
Mhm. Mhm.
This was years ago, and I did. And before I knew it, I was asked to do more things and more things. And then one day I just wrote my first play. I gave it to my pastor, and I said, I wrote a play. I gave it to him in 1995. He put it on the shelf. He's like, oh, that was nice. And he did not give it back to me until 1998. And he says, I want you to do your play.
Wow.
And I look back now, and I'm so glad he did that, because it taught me patience. It taught me that, you need to perfect your inward man just as much as you need to do your outward. And it gave me time to do that. And the same with the film, all these years that I kind of waited for it to be produced, it was a time for me to reflect inward.
So this 20-year span
Mhm.
from when you wrote the play or wrote the movie,
Mhm.
okay, did you make any changes or updates to it,
Yes.
prior to it being released?
Yes. When I
going
originally
into
wrote it,
production mode.
the contest required it to be a short film.
Mhm.
It had to be 40 pages or less. And, even though I don't have the background, I still did a lot of research about film writing. And I learned a feature film is anything 40 pages or more.
Mm.
And so, and then I let a friend of mine who was a producer. She moved away. She was from Atlanta. She was only here for a year working at one of the TV stations. I allowed her to read it, and she said it just needed a little more. And so that's what I did. I went back, and I also had done research about my story. Since it's based on a true story, I was told that it made the local paper. And so in the process of looking for the story in the paper, I learned things about my community that I was not aware of, like, that there was an actual riot in my city and things like that. And so by doing that kind of research, it made me put a little more conflict in the film, as well as all the warm fuzzies.
You're listening to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People. My guest this afternoon is writer, producer, director of the film Sunshine Circle. And it premiered on last Saturday at the Temple Theater. It was a full house. And so I'm so happy and so blessed to have this young lady here to talk about her film. Saginaw is full of talented people.
Yes.
I would have never known that if you had not, called me and invited me to the premiere. I knew you as someone else working in the position that you work in with your
Right.
job. So that was just fantastic. I said, yeah, I want to go. I want to be there. And when I got there, the place was full.
Yes. I was very
People were
blessed.
outside, taking pictures and talking to Facebook about this movie. So it was just wonderful.
Thank
But
you.
continue on. Tell us how you put this together. You said you did not have a background in writing, not so much writing,
Correct.
but the production
Correct.
of this.
Yes.
Who helped you
Well,
after you did your research? Who helped you?
Well, originally, like I said, I didn't even know that my film was written in stage play form.
Mhm.
So the first couple of producers that I pitched it to, that was their first flag. It's like, well, this isn't even written in a screenplay form. So I had to do research to find out how do you write a screenplay.
Mhm.
I didn't even know there was software. So I had a week away from Michigan traveling with my husband while he did a class. And so I took that whole week just to research how to write a screenplay.
Mhm, mhm.
Figured out the template I was going to use, and I used that template. It took me about 2 years to transform it from a stage play form to screenplay form, again because I work full time, I have a family,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
am very involved in ministry, so I had to do that on the side. But once I did it, I my brother was in a film. He's an actor, and he's also in my film. I asked one of his producers, how did you get your independent film produced?
Mhm.
And he said, I hired the production company. And I'm like, oh, I
Never
didn't
occurred
even
to you.
know. Like, I didn't know. I thought I was going to have to rent the equipment and all of that.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
no, there are production companies that will take your script and read it. And I was given the name Tanya Carrier Hicks, that she does feature films. I researched her, went online, looked at some of her work. It was all really quality work because
Mhm.
I had pitched my film to a couple other people locally, but they didn't want to get into a feature film. They wanted to do more of a short film or a video or
Hmm.
things like that. Feature films are a lot of work. But Tanya was willing to take it on, and I'm so glad she did. I wasn't disappointed. It was a labor of love. We worked very well together. I was on set every day because even though she directed it, my input was the final say
Yes.
in it, and she welcomed that and she wanted that, and so that's what made it a good partnership.
Now, there were family members as part of your cast. Tell us about those roles and how you pulled them in.
Sure. Well, we actually auditioned, and just so you know, we filmed the whole production during the pandemic, which is to
Wow.
me amazing and a God thing
Yes,
right
yes,
there.
yes.
And no one got sick on our set.
Um,
But my brother, I casted him for the film, and I casted the mother and the older sister and the young lady who played the older me. All of the other cast we auditioned. Tanya coordinated that, her and I. We got all the applicants, they emailed us. We set up Zoom, and I was just blown away. The first week we had 17 auditions,
wow.
and we auditioned about 30 people in total. And again, I was just shocked at how many people were sitting home waiting for something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the young people had just gotten disappointed because they were going to be in the school play, and the play got shut down because of COVID. Then I had actors who, Hollywood went dark, Broadway went dark. So a lot of people in the arts were just hungry for work. And we were just blessed to get the cast that we had. I mean, they were amazing. Everybody, just amazing.
Now, this movie, this film, was about you growing up. Some things that had happened to you. Feel comfortable
Yes,
sharing about
sure.
that? Tell us, please, give us that
Yes.
information about this film. It's called. It is named, titled Sunshine Circle.
Yes.
And we're in a few minutes. We're going to talk about where they can get tickets and where they can go and see it, because I know that people will want to see this.
Yes. So Sunshine Circle is the story of, it's my childhood story. I made this, most of the characters fictional, but of course, little Shelly is a real person, and that was my story. As a little girl, I was severely burned, and a lot of suspicion just hung over my family for years about how it happened, when it happened, and I just wanted to tell the story from my perspective as well as my mother's, but I also wanted to tell the story about the people in my life at that time that helped me get through it. And the big part of that was the Sunday school. We had these Dutch missionaries. I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey. At that time, my mother wasn't even going to church, but she would send us to the park, and me and all my cousins.
That part of it was real.
Oh yeah, that part of it is
Wow.
real. Yes.
Okay.
So we went to the
Okay.
neighborhood park every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and I met these awesome people who taught us about Jesus, taught us all these Bible songs and scriptures, and it was really good. And so when the tragedy happened, I spent so many weeks and months in the hospital that was one of the ways I was able to kind of deflect and not think about the grueling pain of what I was going through. And they in the story, you'll see the commitment they made to my mother and I and my sister. That was real. That was all real.
Do you hear from that group, or do they know about the film?
Yes, the
Okay.
one particular person does. And if you come see the film, you'll see who he is. I do highlight him in the ending credits. So yeah, he was one of the teenagers at the time that was a part of the what they called then open air ministry.
You moved. Now this part is not in the film, but you moved from
New Jersey.
New Jersey
Mhm.
to Saginaw.
Correct.
Why did that take place?
So what I want to do with this film is talk about childhood trauma and the effects of childhood
Right.
trauma, especially for adults who haven't addressed their childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what happened with me. Back in the 60s and 70s, now they have camps for children who are burned and all type of therapy and, all of that. But I don't recall any of that happening for me. So it was learning how to understand what happened to me and process it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even so much even about the scars, but a lot of times people underestimate the separation anxiety, how much a child is handled when they're in a hospital, and of course the pain that goes with
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to feel a lot of my childhood and teenage years with going to church and doing camp, overnight camp and vacation Bible. But when I became a young adult and the trauma started to resurface, I didn't have the right tools. And so when you're trying to escape that trauma, you usually rely on devices and vices
Mm-hmm.
that will take you down a dark path. And that's what happened with me. And in the process, I ended up on drugs and had an addiction. And when I needed help, someone pointed me to Teen Challenge here in Michigan.
The Teen Challenge that we see here.
Yes.
And there was one over on Jefferson.
Yes,
and
that's the
there's
men's center. And the other one is the women's center.
There's the women's center, okay,
Yes.
which is over on
Michigan. Yeah.
in between the two
one
ways.
ways. Yeah.
One
Yes.
ways, brother. Okay. This film was not only directed for people to know maybe what happened to you with trauma, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
It's inspirational.
Mhm.
It's faith-based.
Yeah.
Is that the response that you got from the premiere? Is that the response that you wanted in terms of people understanding and getting a good grasp of what this film could do for them?
Yes. And of course, a lot of people in the audience were people that I knew. So a lot of them knew the dark story, but a lot of people did not know the core of why that darkness entered my life. And so that's where really what I wanted. And a lot of people walked away with wanting to have that conversation about childhood trauma because so many people, I had a young lady at the premiere, like taking off her coat, showing me her scars and crying and telling me how she never really got to talk about it. I'm hoping the film will even help mothers who have accidentally harmed their children and, are feeling the guilt and the shame of that, and being able to be freed up from that and just kind of silence people that are looking at them strangely.
Let's go to the scenes where the caseworkers, the social service workers, how they were treating your mother, what they were asking her. Talk about that a little bit.
And even with that, I don't remember that actual conversation, but I do remember us having social workers in our life. And so I never really understood why we had a social worker in our life. Looking back now, my mother, she went back to school, and I really believe it was like a Michigan Works type program where they helped her. But I also remember how many times we had to explain what happened. Because when my mother did her best to try to help me overcome feeling, shame of my scars, but it really was, it was just so hard to overcome the bullying and the taunting and the stares. And so, because every time people wanted to know what happened, and we were always explaining, and the first question people would say, was it an accident? So that's why I felt like I had to put that in the film. That conversation, that uncomfortable conversation where the mother has to kind of explain what's going on.
There are many segments of the community and with families who should see this film.
Yes.
Who should see this film from the beginning when you were acting out in school?
Yes.
You get ready
And
to
that's
hurt
for
somebody.
real. That's for real.
That's for real.
That is for real. I kind of became a little bit of a bully, because I was being bullied.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
yes.
that's all a part of that childhood trauma. And a lot of people ignore that when we see children who have behavior issues in school. Sometimes they don't look at what's going on behind the scenes in the home or with the child. They just automatically judge the behavior.
I believe our public school system has a trauma program. And it's not the school system, but the mental health department had a program in the schools that was teaching people in the community about how trauma affects the lives of kids in school and in the home.
It's called the ACE initiative, and it's the Adverse Childhood Experience. They came out with a documentary a couple years ago. CMU partnered with the initiative, and they were able to show the documentary and announce this initiative that they're trying to do better in learning what has that adverse childhood experience been like for a child versus just, sending them to detention or suspending them, just getting more involved in what happened with the child. And I would want to say this, and I would never want to minimize any other trauma, but I think sometimes medical trauma gets overlooked because the child heals and they had that support. But it's so much that goes on when a child's in a hospital, because nowadays parents can stay, but years ago, you didn't have that. Even my sister, really in real life couldn't come to the hospital. I just wanted people to see the depth of how much we missed each other because I spent so much time in the hospital.
If you just tuned in, you are listening to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People. I'm Joyce Harvin, and my guest this afternoon is Marcia Reeves. She is the writer, the producer, the director of this movie, Sunshine Circle. Please tell us about where it will be shown again.
The film will be shown again this Saturday, November 6th, at the State Theater in Bay City. There will be a 1:00 show and a 5:00 show, and tickets are only $5 for students and $5 for adults who bring 2 food items for Rescue Ministries.
Rescue Ministries.
Correct.
How are you connected to Rescue Ministries?
So I've been there 21 years. I started out as a front desk worker and an associate, and now I am the administrative assistant to the CEO, Dan Streeter.
Wonderful. Now, was he in the movie?
No.
Who played the doctor?
His name is Dale Dobson, I'm sorry, with a D, and he is from Milford. And that's the other thing I was real pleased with. This cast is what I call pure Michigan.
Okay.
Because people were from Novi, Milford, Detroit, Hamtramck, Saginaw. That. I mean, and the social worker's from Kentucky. She came in from Kentucky for that. And my brother was from New Jersey. So
that makes me think about sponsors. I have to ask you about this. Tell me about your sponsors.
Yes. So I had a ton of sponsors, not only just for the premiere night, but for the actual production, people that contributed to the production of the film. My husband and I, of course, are the main contributors, but we couldn't have done this without people, and their names are in the credits. And then those who sponsored the premiere night, their names were in the program that we had that night. But we had a ton of people that just came alongside of us, who believed in the story, who wanted to see the conversation, especially those who help families affected by trauma. I was so grateful and humbled by that support.
Well, you didn't mention Pure Michigan. Did you go to the state and ask them for some of that Pure Michigan money? sponsorship money?
No, I did not. But there's future plans for Sunshine
Yes.
Circle. I want to
Yes.
have panel discussion. I want to, be able to let young people see the film and tell me what they think of the big sister. What do you think of how the mom handled herself? Because I know they're experiencing this. I know there are children who are burned who don't show their scars like me, So I want to continue the conversation.
But children are scarred many other ways. There's so many
Exactly.
traumas that they received in their young lifetime, okay, that will leave a lasting effect. And if they don't know how to handle that,
Yes.
if they don't know how to handle that, they can be damaged for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
So that would be a great teaching tool.
Yes. And they said that the one thing that helps a child become resilient are the people they're surrounded by. And so a lot of times you see it all the time when, especially with the Olympics and sports figures, they had a coach or they had a teacher, somebody that really told them they could do what they can do. And that's my goal. Working at the rescue mission, I see so many moms that were like my mom. I see so many children that could have been me. So sometimes it's just a smile, a word of encouragement. There's so much we could do to make sure that anybody affected by trauma or grief, just give them the support they need. It will mean the world to them in the long run.
What's up next after this film has traveled, let me say, across the country, across the world? What's next for Marcia Reeves and the Sunshine Circle? Because that's the name of your production company, correct?
Yes, the production company brand is Sunshine with the O. Sunshine Productions LLC, and the tagline is allowing his light to shine bright, because that's my goal. I want God's light to shine bright. He has been so gracious to me to bring me out of darkness into his marvelous light, and that's what I want to do, just help the next person up to let their light shine as well. As a matter of fact, when I gave my cast their goodie bags after the premiere, everybody got a light bulb. And I said, to let your light shine. So,
yes.
Yeah, they got more than a light bulb, but they got a light bulb as a reminder to let their light shine.
Okay, remember the name of this movie, of this film, Sunshine Circle. Please attend the showing. Again, it's going to be
Saturday, November 6th at the State Theater in downtown Bay City on Washington, a 1:00 show and a 5:00 show. Tickets are just $5 for students and $5 for adults who bring 2 food items.
Okay, and those food items will be donated to
Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan.
Rescue Ministries, are they all over the state or just?
They're just in Mid-Michigan.
In Mid-Michigan.
Yes. We have a shelter in Bay City and a shelter in Saginaw. And again, they, Dan Streeter didn't ask for any type of, response for me to do something like this, but I wanted to do it because of their support for the film. Right. And they've really been a good friend to me with producing the film. And so I just wanted to give back.
Will you be at this showing?
Yes, I plan to be there at both showings. Yes.
Very good. Very good. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It is.
But it's wonderful work.
Thank you. Yes.
It's God's work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're going to be rewarded for this, not with just all of these accolades, but you're doing a good job.
Thank you so much.
This is really good. There's so many kids who go through trauma.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do with it. And it can get them into real trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, real bad trouble.
Yeah. And so many adults who don't realize that's what's going on. The unaddressed trauma I didn't realize until I got to Teen Challenge when we had intense therapy. And that's when I was blown away. I'm like, oh my goodness. I have compound trauma from age 3 to 6. So there are traumas that I can't even talk about, but I talked about it in therapy. And so when you realize, okay, this is why I was this way, and this is why I acted this way, it frees you up to where you have to tell somebody, this is how I got free. I hope this will help you.
Excuse me. And the young lady who played you?
Yes.
You have got to see her.
Yes. Jaya Wynn.
She was really good. from the time that there was the accident where she was scalded and she went into shock. She played that so well.
Yeah.
I think she will go a long way.
She will. She will.
is a good little actor.
Yes.
She did that
She really
very
is.
well. And she could sing. Was that one of your favorite songs?
It was because it had all these verses and
Mhm.
animated ways, don't let's say it out, things
Yeah.
like that. But the real thing was I was always breaking out in song. It wasn't just that song. I just used that because it went well with the theme, but that was usually what I did, break out in song.
Or could you break out in that song?
Oh my. Oh, okay, I will.
Go ahead.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
You have got to go see this movie, Sunshine Circle, November the 6th at the Bay City State Theater. And you will be amazed and surprised at what you see. Written and produced, created by Marcia Reeves, right here in Saginaw. Saginaw has a lot of talent. Thank you for being here and sharing this information with us today. I'm so glad that you invited me to see the play and that you were available today to share it with my listening audience.
Thank you. And thank you.
And I will have you back again.
Thank you.
Very, very good. You are listening to Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People. And please join me again next week for Community Connections, Community Talk for Community People. Thank you to the Saginaw NAACP and its Youth Council being a part of this program. Remember, membership is power, and you can always contact me by going to jwharvin@gmail.com, going to your computer and sending me an email to that email address. I will talk to you next week. And I love it that I'm getting a signed autographed copy of the poster. And I'm going to keep it. Thank you very much, Marcia. Thanks for being here. And thanks to all of the sponsors.
You've been listening to Community Connections with Joyce Harvin on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on Community Connections by the host, its guests, or call-ins do not necessarily represent the opinion of this station, the staff, its owners, Alpha Media USA, or its advertisers.
It's Straight Talk, straight with no chaser. It's Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen, getting right to the heart of the matter, giving you all of what's happening in Saginaw and the Great Lakes Bay region, all at a great